afternoon. Welcome to Africa Today. I am Jessica Magaji Joseph. First, the headlines. Nigeria's government warns organizers of hunger protest against violence. South African president says new coalition government is united in tackling unemployment and poverty. U.S. pledges $203 million in the hopes of averting the crisis in Sudan. And on sport, Stanley Iheanacho signs 5-year contract with Portuguese club. Now the news in detail. Federal government has urged the promoters of the proposed nationwide protest to pursue dialogue instead of resorting to disorder. The government said it will continue to engage with stakeholders on the country's economic, social and political challenges. The Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Malam Landry Issa, in a statement issued to newsmen yesterday in Abuja, revealed that the agency's nationwide structure had successfully identified the sponsor of the proposed protest and likely flashpoint. He said the government will take measures to forestall any violent occurrences in the identified locations. He emphasized that the identities of many of the brains behind the protest are known, along with their collaborators who are safely residing abroad, and the government is taking necessary actions to stop their subversive plans. He stated that the intention of those behind the planned protest were not about governance or the state of the economy, but a decoy to destabilize the country, cause mayhem, and carry out arson, killings, and maiming of innocent citizens for narrow political reasons. The National Assembly will Tuesday get an executive bill on the new national minimum wage following an agreement between President Bola Tinubu and labor leaders on higher remuneration for workers. The President and the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, led by the President Joe Ajaero and Festus Osifo, respectively agreed on 70,000 naira as the new national minimum wage during their meeting at the ASO Presidential Villa, Abuja. The wage will replace the 30,000 minimum wage that expired on April 18, 2024. To give legality to the agreement ahead of the implementation, the Special Advisor to the President, Bola Tinubu on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, confirmed that the lawmakers would get the executive bill on the new minimum wage by Tuesday. The Senate has introduced a bill establishing a local government independent electoral commission. These developments follow the judgment by the Supreme Court, which granted financial autonomy to local government areas. The bill, sponsored by Sani Musa, who represents Niger East, was read for the first time during a plenary session yesterday. In its ruling, the Supreme Court ordered the federal government to directly allocate funds due to local governments from the Federation account. The introduction of the bill for establishing the Local Government Electoral Commission will now take the power for election conduct at the grassroots from the State Independent Electoral Commission. The bill proposes the establishment of the National Independent Local Government Electoral Commission to be responsible for conducting elections for local government chairmen and councillors. The House of Representatives yesterday resolved to assist the federal government with 648 million naira for 6 months by cutting down their salaries by 50% to support food sufficiency and address the high cost of food in the country. But the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and civil society organizations such as Action Aid Africa, in a swift reaction, said the problem was not with the salaries of the members of the House of Representatives, but their allowances, suggesting the bogus allowances be slashed by half to make meaningful impact in their support efforts. The lawmakers also begged Nigerians to exercise more patience with President Bola Tinubu's administration in addressing the challenges and hardships faced by citizens. The House further mandated its Committee on Appropriation, Humanitarian Affairs, Finance and Budget to ensure compliance. When we return, news from other parts of West Africa. Please stay with us. Welcome back. The Vice President and Chairman of the Police Council in Ghana, Mahamuda Bawumia, has praised the transformative impact of the initiatives undertaken by General of Police George Akuffo Dampare. He highlighted that the initiatives have visibly enhanced safety in the country and strengthened the relationship between the police service and the public. Bawumia made these remarks during the commissioning of the Ghana Police Service shop at the police headquarters. He commended the efforts of the IGP and his management team, noting that their work has significantly improved policing and community engagement. The Vice President emphasized government's pride in the achievement of Dampare and his team. He acknowledged that the positive changes implemented under their leadership are making a tangible difference in national security and public trust. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa opened a new parliamentary term Thursday, nearly 2 months after an historic election result reshaped the country's politics and led to the formation of an unprecedented multi-party government coalition. Ramaphosa's speech to lawmakers marked the official start of business for the new coalition, which brings at least 10 parties together to govern Africa's most industrialized country. Ramaphosa said that despite the political differences of his diverse government, it was united in tackling South Africa's 3 biggest problems: an unemployment crisis, crippling poverty, and inequality, and the failure of state institutions that have been eroded by corruption and neglect that largely been blamed on Ramaphosa's own African National Congress Party. We move to other parts of Africa after this break. Please stay with us.
This is Hillstv. Quality broadcasting is what we'll bring to you. Now we be this
Welcome back. UN Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield said the U.S. is pledging $203 million in the hopes of averting the crisis in Sudan to spill over into the region.
So today, I'm proud to announce that the United States Agency for International Development will provide an additional $203 million in funding to the people of Sudan. We hope this new round of aid serves as a call to action for others to follow. Partners will use this funding to build new shelter for refugees or provide cash assistance so that they can pay rent. And it will help children whose lives have been upended by conflict return to school. It will provide emergency food assistance to those who are starving. There are efforts, as you know, ongoing right now by the Secretary General's personal envoy to get the warring parties to come to the table. And my call is for those who have influence on the warring parties to press them, to urge them to come to the table, because until they come to the table, the people of Sudan will continue to suffer. There is no...
Close to 9 million people have fled their homes, according to the United Nations, and more than 1 million have left the country. Thousands have been killed in a conflict overshadowed by the ones in Gaza and Ukraine. The war in Sudan began a little over a year ago, causing tens of thousands to flee into neighboring Chad in search of safety. The UN says it has asked for $2.7 billion in funding to respond to humanitarian needs, but has received $155 million, or 6%. Police in Kenya have banned protests in the capital indefinitely, citing a lack of leadership that would ensure peaceful protest. The ban was announced hours before a planned protest for Thursday, in which demonstrators were expected to march to the president's office, calling for his resignation over poor governance.
The corruption in Kenya is over. These politicians are using us and they are getting paid. We don't need corruption in this country. As you see, police are here, but we are not giving up. We are still here.
The president should know that his days are numbered, that he should resign, and we as Gen Zs, we will not give in. We will fight till the end. And it's our time now to make this country know that we have to run. It has to be run in the way that is according to the Constitution. And we will fight until our last legs cannot walk.
Acting Police Inspector Douglas Kanja, in a statement, said the lack of leadership had made it difficult to enforce safety protocols. Recent protests have left businesses counting losses after the looting and burnings. However, Kenya government has called on protesters to embrace patriotism.
On behalf of the government, I therefore make a call to all of us to embrace patriotism and nationhood and stay engaged with one another without violence and demonstration, and be focused and committed to building a peaceful progress in Kenya. On behalf of the government, I therefore make a call to all of us to embrace patriotism and nationhood and stay engaged.
European and African leaders gathered in Libya to attend the Trans-Mediterranean Migration Forum in an effort to collaborate on finding solutions to the migration issue. The forum aims to formulate a unified vision that enhances cooperation and coordination between the countries concerned in order to develop the foundations of sustainable economic and trade European-African relations, said Libyan Prime Minister Abdul Hamid Dibeiba. Abdul Hamid called for relocation, the funds currently used to manage irregular migration flows, towards financing development projects in African source countries. Chadian President Mahamat Idris Deby urged the development of solutions to irregular migration and the identification of its root causes, emphasizing the importance of addressing this issue while upholding human rights. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni said that her country considers resolving migration issue a priority, noting that large numbers of irregular migrants require intensifying efforts with the countries in the region. Malta's Prime Minister Robert Abela highlighted the efforts made by the Libyan government to rescue migrants and cooperate on the issue of irregular migration, calling for collective action to reduce migration and organize criminal networks. Margaritis, Vice President of the European Commission, stressed the European Union's support for Libya in addressing migration, noting that the number of migrants crossing to Europe from Libya has dropped compared to 5 years ago. Up next is business. Please stay with us. Welcome back. And on business, Nigeria has produced a total of 236,229.281 barrels of crude oil in the first half of 2024. Data obtained from the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission confirmed that 44.2 million barrels of crude were produced in January, while the country pumped 38.3 million barrels of oil in February. Similarly, 38.1 million barrels were produced in March, and the monthly production of April was 38.4 million. In May, 38.8 million barrels were pumped and 38.8 million barrels were achieved in June. In the same period in 2023, the country's total oil output from January to June was 219.5 million barrels, 16.73 million lower than what was recorded in 2024. However, during the first 6 months of 2020, the country produced 302.42 million barrels of crude oil, representing 66 million barrels, more than what was obtained within the same period this year. This is an indication that the nation's oil production has been fluctuating, declining more than appreciating over the years. Data from NUPRC show that the country produced an average of 1.43 million barrels of crude oil per day in the first month of the year, being the highest average daily crude production within the 6 months. The Central Bank of Nigeria resumed the sale of foreign exchange to eligible bureau de change operators on Thursday as the naira fell to 1,570 naira at the parallel market. The CBN sold the dollar to BDCs at a rate of 1,450. This was disclosed in a statement signed by A.A. Madi for the acting director of the Trade and Exchange Department at the CBN. The Apex Bank said following the ongoing reforms in the foreign exchange market, with the objective of achieving an appropriate market-determined exchange rate for the naira, the Central Bank of Nigeria has observed the continued distortions in the retail and end of the market. It warned that the BDCs to sell to eligible end users at a margin not more than 1.5% above the purchase rate from CBN. The dollar, which was traded as low as 1,640, settled at 1,570 at the parallel market, having closed Wednesday trading at 1,565. Nigeria will receive new loans from the IMF to undertake reforms to reduce risk to protect prospective balance of payment stability and resolve its protracted balance of payment problems. The Executive Board of the IMF completed the 4th and 5th reviews of Nigeria's economic and financial programs supported by extended credit facility arrangements, and the first review under the Resilience and Sustainability Facility arrangement. The completion of the review allowed for the immediate disbursement of $19.7 million under the ECF, bringing total disbursement under the arrangement of $210 million. Under the RSF, Nigeria's ECF was approved on December 8, 2021 and complemented by the RSF in July 2023. The two arrangements were extended by 6 months until December 2025 to ensure sufficient time to implement key reforms and support the authorities' fiscal consolidation efforts. Program implementation was broadly on track in late June 2023, but was disrupted by the nation's political crisis, which led to the accumulation of external and domestic debt service arrears. Still to come, sports. Please stay with us. Welcome back. And on sport, former Golden Eaglet striker Stanley Iheanacho has sealed a move to Liga Portugal to outfit club Deportivo de Mafra. Iheanacho linked up with CD Mafra from Danish Superliga side FC Midtjylland. The 19-year-old put pen to paper on a 5-year contract with his new club until June 2029. The youngster scored 4 goals on his debut for FC in a cup clash against Abena BK in September 2023. Iheanacho, however, failed to make a league appearance for the multiple Superliga champions. The forward played a key role in Midtjylland's side that won the Under-19 Youth League last season. He scored 12 goals in 22 appearances and also played 4 matches in the UEFA Youth League. Aubameyang has signed for Saudi Pro League outfit Al Qadisiyah for a reported fee of between 9 and 10 million euros. The 35-year-old Gabonese international joined after 1 year at Olympique Marseille, in which he scored 30 goals with the Ligue 1 side in all competitions and became the top goal scorer in the history of UEFA Europa League with 31 goals. Aubameyang is said to earn a reported 20 million euros per season with his new club. Meanwhile, Maximilian, Zlatan's eldest son, has signed his first professional contract with AC Milan, the Italian club said on Thursday. Ibrahimovic Jr. will play with Milan Futuro, Milan's new under-23 team that will feature in Serie C, the 3rd division. Max Milan, who will turn 18 in September, has previously played with Milan youth team. Zlatan Ibrahimovic scored 93 goals in 163 appearances over 2 spells at Milan. He retired last year and served as an advisor to the club. And that's the sport news on Africa Today. We'll move to the rest of the news after this break. Please stay with us.
This is Hillstv. Quality broadcasting is what we'll bring to you. Now we be this
Hillstv, Poker.
Staying with us, the multinational joint task force fighting insurgency in the Lake Chad region says 263 Boko Haram terrorists and their families have surrendered to troops. This was contained in a statement issued by Abubakar Abdullahi, the Chief Military Public Information Officer of MNJTF in Jamena, Chad. He said that the insurgents surrendered between July 11th and July 17, 2024 during the ongoing Operation Lake Sanity 2. The wave of surrenders began on July 1st when 5 terrorists surrendered to MNJTF troops in Wogo on the Nigerian-Cameroon border. And that's Africa Today, but before we go, here are the headlines again. We told you that Nigeria's government warns organizers of hunger protests against violence. South African president says new coalition government is united in tackling unemployment and poverty. U.S. pledges $203 million in the hopes of averting the crisis in Sudan. And on sport, Stanley Iheanacho signs 5-year contract with Portuguese club. Remember to visit us on Facebook at Hillstv Abuja, Instagram at Hillstv Abuja, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Hillstv. I am Jessica Magaji Joseph. Thanks for watching.